and the M-Shed is guaranteeing that.
How do you feel about meeting the Queen? Because you have to go to the palace, won't you, to get this MBE?
You know, funny enough, I met the Queen before.
Have you?
Achievers Day. I've got a photograph here. I was invited to Buckingham Palace, and I met her. But
did you speak with her? Did she?
No. But it was many achievers like myself. So she didn't have time to talk to everybody. So this was my second time. But I'm looking forward to it because it is a one-to-one thing with her. But I don't think I'll be able to curse her because my knee is full of arthritis.
That's all that work on the wards, that is.
Yeah, it's
bad. Who's sat alongside you there?
That's my son, Dennis.
Hello, Dennis. I know you didn't want to talk, but I just think, Dennis, a quick word about how you feel about your mum.
Well, I think she's very good, and once again, I'm very honoured, you know, and I think it'll be a great day for her on that day, and I'm glad she's recognised for it.
Well, thanks for coming.
I want to talk to you about my campaigning when it started, when I came here as a young immigrant, and we couldn't get anywhere to live. And, you know, this saying no blacks, no cats, no dogs. But that empowered, we had a great leader, his name was Owen Henry, and he empowered us. And we got together and started a housing association. The name of it is United Housing, and it's one of the big housing associations in Bristol.
Okay.
And that's when my campaign started. So I fight for equality.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you this morning. Congratulations again on your honour. That's Princess Campbell, MBE. A lovely interview. 8:17.
BBC Radio 5 Live is also available through your digital TV. Sky, Freeview, Freepass and Virgin Media are just some of the ways you can listen.
5 Live News, Bruce Forsyth is now Sir Bruce after being knighted in the Queen's birthday honours list. The US has strongly condemned Syria for its violence against anti-government protesters. And the government is going to review the amount of money to be cut from local authority budgets in England to help fund new academy schools after councils threaten legal action. How's it looking out there on the roads?
It's busier now, actually, and of course we've got the Trooping the Colour event that's going on, so all the road closures now in place. Buckingham Gate, Buckingham Palace Road, Constitution Hill and the Mall, and the events kick off at around 10 o'clock. In Kent, the M20 on the London-bound side, junctions 8 to 7, around the Maidstone area. There's a full closure in place. It's all for the roadworks that are taking place, but they'll be in place, and that closure will be in place until Monday morning. Cambridge to the M11 northbound between junctions 10 at Duxford and 11 at Cambridge South. A lane closed to recover a lorry. It left the road, went off the carriageway. And also the Rotherhithe Tunnel is closed on the northbound side today. The Blackwall Tunnel is also closed on the southbound side, so both sets of traffic are having to use the southbound side of the Rotherhithe Tunnel. Want to mention 5 Live Travel. Test match special.
First is Wayne Minute. Yes, he's declaring indeed. Well spotted, Pelfrey. Tossed up, defensively forward, back up the pitch. The test match is drawn, and Sri Lanka go on skip, and into the final, England leading 1-0.
England against Sri Lanka.
The third test starts Thursday from 10:45. Ball-by-ball coverage on BBC Digital Radio.
5 Live Sports Extra.
To find out how to receive 5 Live Sports Extra, click bbc.co.uk/5 Live.
I felt a little bit like Dirty Dentrumist in the set. Hello, Princess. This morning on 5 Live, we've been getting exclusive access to the 2014 Commonwealth Games site in Glasgow, and I'm delighted to say we can now talk to David Greffenberg, the Games Chief Operating Officer. Hello, David.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, very well. It's very nice to have you on. And look, we'll get on to your role as Chief Operating Officer in a moment, but I understand, although I couldn't find much information about this on the World Wide Web, that you're a former American wrestler.
Yes, wrestled for 16 years, wrestled through primary, high school, and into college, and then after college I was pursuing Olympic glory, and then I had a career-ending injury. But now I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to keep me fit.
Both of which perfect experience to set you up for a life in Glasgow.
Absolutely.
Tell me, what was your wrestling name?
They called me the Louisiana Lightning, which is quite charming in many ways.
Brilliant. And how will the Louisiana Lightning be affecting the Glasgow Games then?
Well, you know, we've I think with all of my experiences, being an athlete, being a coach, being an administrator for years, and now being an event organizer. It really gives me a kind of very holistic perspective. At the heart of what we're doing is vision. Our vision is really to be athlete-centered and sport-focused, so it really keeps us true to that vision.
Is there a small danger of you being in the shadow of the London 2012 Games?
I think we're very, very complementary. And as a matter of fact, I had a meeting with British Swimming yesterday. We were talking about just that fact. We think we're at an ideal time to really look at all of the great things that are going to come out of London 2012. We're a great barometer for great things to come in British sport, in particular Scottish sport as well. And so we think it's a perfect time.
Everybody will remember the last Commonwealth Games at Delhi and the pictures of those half-finished hotel rooms about a week before the event, and then once the Commonwealth Games got underway there, very empty stadium, especially with the swimming. I remember barely a spectator in the swimming pool stadium whilst that was taking part. In many ways, does that make it easy for you to follow those games? They weren't really deemed a success, were they?
Well, no, I think for India, India proved that it could run the games, and I think for one of the things that was very interesting coming out after the games is that the majority of athletes really felt that the games were a great experience, which was very, very positive. I think the critical point which we are embracing is we really see this as a great opportunity to set benchmarks for the CGF, the Commonwealth Games Federation, the Commonwealth fraternity, and really work on its distinctiveness within the global pathway of sport. So we see this as a great opportunity to get the model right.
When London were bidding for the Olympics, they had quite a sell on their hands to try and get the rest of the UK involved. You know, well, how are you going to engage somebody in Inverness about a London Olympic Games? Are you going to have the same problem in 2014? How you engage the rest of the UK with Glasgow's Commonwealth Games?
I think we've really started. We started at home here in Scotland, in many respects. Our handover ceremony in Delhi represented all 32 local authorities in Scotland. Our cast were not professional dancers and so forth; they were volunteers. And so throughout our lead up to the games, we are looking at a number of campaigns, both here in Scotland, Glasgow-wide as well, but also UK-wide, to really draw on that home nation support and home nation interests. So in our discussions with Scottish Swimming and British Swimming yesterday, one of the topics was we need to make sure that home nation participation of elite athletes was paramount, and so happy to say is that we have their commitment.
Which is good news for everybody. How will you avoid the kind of public backlash that the London Games has had about ticket allocation?
Ticketing, yeah. So ticketing, I think London has, I think it's just, it's a good example of a high demand. A lot of people want to go there, and I'd like to say that, we're another opportunity to see some great sport as well. There's a lot to learn from that as well, and I think London's done some great things with their ticketing program. I think one example would be is how they have engaged parents of athletes and so forth, and the sport-specific communities, how they've done some of their range in terms of making tickets more accessible to various age groups and so forth. I think it's always a challenge with every games, but I think it's also a sign of their success and the high demand. And so we are definitely learning from their journey.
Would you like to make more tickets available to the public as opposed to through sponsors and corporates?
I think we want to make these games. We want to make meet our revenue targets, but I think what's very important is that we also have, so to speak, butts on seats, and make sure that we have full stadia, because that is also, again, being athlete-centered. That is absolutely critical to have that energy in the room when you're in your finals. Is paramount to a positive experience.
It's been a pleasure having you on the programme. I'm sure we'll talk to you plenty more times before the 2014 Commonwealth Games. Good luck with everything. That's David Griffenberg.
Thank you so much.
Otherwise known as the Louisiana Lightning.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
8:25. Now, Prince William will help the Queen celebrate her official birthday later by taking part in the Trooping the Colour Parade for the first time. Let's talk to our royal correspondent, Peter Hunn. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just talk us through what we can expect today.
Well, it will be the traditional pageant of Trooping the Colour, which many people are familiar with on the Horse Guards Parade. Obviously, for decades now, has involved the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh. Both of them, when they were younger, used to take part in the ceremony on horseback. The Prince of Wales takes part on horseback, and now, as you suggest, for the first time, Prince William, and yet another sign of him taking on and embracing his destiny. In previous years, he's attended just to watch. Now he will be part of that parade, and he will parade on horseback in uniform. He was made an honorary colonel of the Irish Guards. He wore the uniform at his wedding and will wear it again today at this ceremony.
And many regiments standing shoulder to shoulder.
Yes, and many, of course, will be ones who have fought in Afghanistan, and members of those regiments have come back for this ceremony today, or will be back in the UK to attend this ceremony today. And then another person, again, and another significant day will be Prince William's wife, Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge. She will, for a second time only, go in a horse-drawn carriage and will appear later on the Buckingham Palace balcony with members of the royal family just to watch the fly past.
And there's always a clamour to see this event around the gates, isn't there?
Yes, I mean, it does get very well attended. I mean, it's interesting that it's tied in with the official birthday of the Queen. I mean, I think it's she and Paddington Bear are the only two people who have two birthdays. And historically, the monarch went for, or members of the royal family went for an official birthday in June because of bad weather. I think it was Edward VII. His real birthday was in November, and it was called an unsuitable month for sort of parades and outdoor celebrations. So that tradition has developed, and now we're marking it again this year in June, which is obviously a reasonable time, and as you say, a lot of people will be there to watch it.
And of course the fly past.
Yes, and that again, as we had with the wedding, will be a combination both of older Second World War craft and more modern ones, again ones which possibly have been used in missions in Libya.
Thanks very much for talking to us this morning. That's our royal correspondent, Peter Hunt. So the question is, Peter...
No pressure.
No pressure then. What's the weather going to be like?
Actually, no, I think it could be okay. There was a bit of rain overnight in London, but that's now clear. We've got a bit of a window before the showers get going, and I think that window will just be long enough, fortunately. Some pleasant sunshine out there at the moment. And I suppose that's the story for most of the UK this morning. It has been a chilly night. We've had clear skies, but you've got some pleasant sunshine now. But the showers will develop quite widely once again. And across Scotland, more than just showers, we've got some rain easing in from the North Sea. That'll affect particularly from Fife down to the Lothians into towards the borders as well, ending up quite a wet and cold afternoon here with temperatures just 13 degrees. And after a sunny start, I think that cloud from that weather system extending a bit further westwards across Scotland, so just the western fringes hanging on to sunshine until late in the day. Ahead of that, getting up to about 15 or 16 degrees. Northern Ireland, sunshine and showers. There's one or two showers even around already across eastern areas. They will develop a little more widely, but equally some good long dry spells in between the showers. But even with the sunshine, temperatures now higher than about 14 or 15, so that's well below par once again. England and Wales, it is a mix of sunshine and showers. Some places will get more showers than others. I think perhaps the Midlands, more eastern parts of England, getting some of the heaviest showers through the afternoon particularly, whereas some western areas, northwest England for example, and the west of Wales could well end up with a lot of dry and fairly sunny weather too. But here, temperatures are still on the low side, 16 degrees. It'll feel much cooler, I think, when the showers come through. Might just manage to get 19 degrees in southeastern areas. Probably one or two showers in Queens, but hopefully decent length of play as well. Tonight, chilly again and clearing skies. We had a touch of frost last night. Not out of the question tonight, I'm afraid. And then tomorrow, well, it really goes downhill. We've got a big area of cloud and rain spreading in from the southwest. So a wet start in southwestern parts of England. That rain spreading on to affect much of England, Wales and Northern Ireland before the end of the day. Sunshine and showers again for Scotland, and it stays unsettled next week as well.
Here's my favourite text of the morning so far from Phil in Nottingham, mainly because it's just involves one I hadn't thought of.
Go on.
Right? As Bruce now becomes Sir Bruce, does that mean his wife becomes a good dame, good dame?
It gets worse and worse. It's 8:30. Coming up in the next half hour on Weekend Breakfast, it's the final tonight of So You Think You Can Dance, and we'll hear from Nigel Lithgow. I know you're supposed to call him Nasty Nigel.
It wasn't nasty, was
but
it?
he was a delight, wasn't he?
We met him yesterday, and he was a charming man.
There you go. So you're listening to 5 Live Breakfast.
Online at bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
5 Live News. After years of campaigning by his fans, Bruce Forsyth has been knighted by the Queen. Sir Bruce told Weekend Breakfast it feels wonderful to be recognised. Colin Firth has been awarded the CBE, and broadcaster Jenny Murray is now a dame. The White House has called for an immediate end to the brutality and violence in Syria. Reports say more than 30 people died yesterday as security forces attacked towns in the north. Ed Balls has criticised the Daily Telegraph for printing further details from his private papers. This morning, the papers published a document from civil servants urging spending restraint from the Labour government in 2006. 2 people have been killed and 2 others seriously injured in a caravan fire near Barmouth in North Wales. It happened during the early hours of this morning at the Sunny Sands Park in Talabont. And Greater Manchester Police are asking for people's ideas about where money can be saved. The force needs to make cuts of £134 million over the next 4 years.
Jackson Edgware, this is what you need to train your cats to. Talented Pets, by the way, if you just joined us on Weekend Breakfast. When our neighbours have a barbecue, some of our cats do a commando raid under the hedge and manage to come back with chopped sausages and corn on the cob.
Listen, we've had a bit of that. We've had a piece of steak come back. We've had a child's golf club, bread and butter, tags off garden, you name it, they will bring it back.
You are trying to make out you haven't trained them to do that.
No, they're very good at recognising words as well. They know lots of words.
The cats?
Yeah, the cats, very good, very responsive. Bedtime, they run up 2 flights of stairs and lie down on the bed. Say X Factor or The Apprentice, they lie in the settee because they never settle into the long haul.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, they're super clever, my boys.
Would it confuse me if you said Caroline Barker?
It may well do. In fact, Phil, I think you could take some of the credit because you helped name them. Do you remember when they were kittens on 5 Live, late one night? We named them during the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
There you go.
What are they called then?
I can't remember the names.
Theo. Theo Walker, yeah. The other one was supposed to be called Owen, but he became Oscar.
My nieces wanted me to call my cats Help and Fire so that I'd stand on the back of But what they ended up with is not broadcastable, so I won't.
Oh, right, okay, you better do the sport then.
John Steele's downfall as RFU chief executive started with his decision in March to cancel the Clive Woodward's interview for the role of performance director. That's according to the chairman of the RFU, Martin Thomas.
The interview was cancelled, and John made that decision. He was not able to communicate with Bill Beaumont and myself. I was available to speak on the telephone. Bill Beaumont was available to speak on the telephone. John's decision was to, in fact, and I'm not criticising for it, but John's decision was to send an email. And neither Bill nor I got those emails until much later because we were not at computer screens. We would have liked a phone call, and we would have talked about it.
Now, how much further can James Ward go? The British tennis number 2 and world number 216 will face Joe Wilfried Tsonga in the semi-final at Queen's later and try and set up an unlikely all-British final against Andy Murray. The Scotsman is up against 4 times Queen's champion Andy Roddick.
Obviously now will be a good test to see what my game's at against Roddick, and obviously serves very well. And I mean, he's been around the top of the game for a good 10 years now, probably, so look forward to it. I felt like I played better in the last round, and ideally would have liked to have played to get another match, but very, very tough match.
And we'll have full commentary on 5 Live Sport, and you can watch the match on BBC One. It's gongs all round for England's cricketers in the Queen's birthday honours. Captain Andrew Strauss receives an OBE along with coach Andy Flower, while there's an MBE for Alistair Cook, much to the delight of Strauss.
They both thoroughly deserve any recognition they get. I mean, Alistair Cook had an amazing Ashes tour, underlined his class as a batsman, and was the linchpin by which all the rest of us performed during the Ashes. And Andy Flower, not enough good things can be said about him. You know, he constantly challenges us as a group. He works tirelessly. He makes sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and no one works harder for the England team than he does.
Golfer Lee Westwood, who's currently 8 shots off the lead in the defence of his St Jude Classic title in Memphis, is also honoured with an OBE. And after more than 40 years' service, racehorse trainer Henry Cecil received a knighthood. England Rugby League coach Steve McNamara says the 16-12 defeat to the Exiles was the serious workout his side needed. A Joel Tompkins try looked to a snatched victory for England until they conceded a last-minute try. Despite the rain, there were 5 results in cricket's 2020 competition last night, including wins for Hampshire, Yorkshire, Worcestershire and Derbyshire and Middlesex. And Ferrari's Fernando Alonso posted the fastest time in second practice ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Third practice is underway at 2:55 this afternoon. Full commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Let's have a quick look at this morning's front pages. The Daily Telegraph had day 2 of what they call the Balls files. The headline, billions squandered by Labour. The documents show Brown pushed ahead with public spending spree despite warnings it was being wasted. For The Guardian, the speech David Miliband would have given if he'd won. The leak showed the divisions with the brother on the deficit reduction, says the paper. Daily Mirror has Kate Middleton on the front, the Duchess of Cambridge, as we now call her. I'm so in love, all about her life with wills. The Express, cheaper home loans to stay. The FT weekend, the Gates warns allies over NATO burden. The US Defence Secretary highlights Europe's failings. Spending level on the Libyan mission was unacceptable, he said. The Daily Mail, no returns to weekly bin rounds. Ryan Giggs breaks the front page of the Daily Star. And for the Sun, their headline, nice to serve you. I prefer yours, actually.
Nice to see you tonight, yeah. Brucey quite like that. If you missed the interview that we did with Sir Bruce, as he's now known, then you can grab that on our website shortly after the show finishes this morning. It'll be up there on Best Bits, bbc.co.uk/5live. Just want to clear something up for Duncan in Arundel, who says, Phil, no motorcycle success since Barry Sheene. What are you talking about? Carl Fogarty, 5 times World Superbike champion, Neil Hodgson, World Superbike champion, James Toseland, World Superbike champion. That might not be what I meant was, no, Britain has won the British MotoGP since Barry Sheene. So I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear for you. Back pages.
Back pages are dominated by the news that Villa Park is going to have to look for another manager to take Aston Villa on after Roberto Martinez rejected the job yesterday to stay with Wigan. Also talking about the Queen's Honours list, Strauss is a hit with the Queen, says the back of the Express. And one other story that's made it onto the back pages regarding the transfer or not from Manchester to Manchester United even, of defender Phil Jones from Blackburn. Apparently it's hit a bit of a snag. His transfer hasn't happened yet. That's according to the Mirror and some of the back pages. And that's hit a last minute still problem with that one, but should go through ultimately in the end. But I wonder who Villa will be after next. Apparently David Moyes is one of the main targets for Aston Villa.
That was doing the rounds on Twitter last night. And just tell us about the photo of David Hay.
Back of the Sun this morning, I'll make mincemeat of you, Klitschko. It shows David Hay with his arm disappearing into a big slab of beef during training. So he's using a slab of beef apparently to hit. I don't know why he could have just, done the old...
Actually, I'm sure it's Rocky, isn't it, where he goes into the freezer container?
Yeah, it is.
And he uses his bare hands and jabs at it.
Yeah, a lady of fine taste. I couldn't stand the smell. Have you ever been into a freezer container?
Yes.
My days were in a supermarket, and I didn't get locked in there, but
yeah, it's not.
You don't want to be in there for long.
No, it's not.
Especially with David Hay sweating.
I don't know, that might make things better.
Really?
8:38. Now then, moving swiftly on. We know the Queen is celebrating her official 85th birthday today. Prince Philip was 90 yesterday. Bruce Forsyth is just got a knighthood at 83. But one man can top all of that. The Reverend Canon John Clayton celebrates his 100th birthday today. And we're going to be talking to him in a few minutes' time.
For now, though, let's hear from Nigel Lithgow. We spoke to Nigel yesterday. He's one of the judges on So You Think You Can Dance. In fact, more than that, because Nigel created the show, and he's on his 8th season in the States. It's his 2nd season here, and he's been telling Justine and me about the pressure that dancers are under.
Well, it's a culmination of a lot of hard work. These kids probably have never done these rehearsals 7 and 8 hours a day dancing. They wouldn't have done before. There's so many styles that they've been forced into doing, outside of their comfort zone. So it's great that we're finally coming to the end of it, and Britain's going to choose its favourite dancer. We never say Britain's best dancer, but Britain's favourite dancer.
Now, obviously, 4 of them there, all very different.
Yeah.
For me, Matt's my favourite. Do you have a sneaking favourite?
I am not allowed to say at this point, but I don't disagree with you.
Diplomatic. Why is that? Why is he yours?
Well, he's mine because as a tapper, for me, he stood out straight away. But he's not just a tapper. He's embraced all the different styles as the show's gone on, and I think he's one of the people who's very versatile, which you need for the show.
I think you're right, but I do think you're slightly biased because you're a tapper, and me too. So maybe that's why I'm slightly biased as well.
I wish I was a tapper now. I feel I've missed it.
You're not in the club, Phil.
I know, I'm not a tapper. I've got the right build for it, Nigel.
No, you're a bit too tall, really. It's much better when you've got a lower centre of gravity, like a Maradona or a Wayne Rooney.
And the other finalists then, there's Kirsty and there's Katie and there's Luke in there. How do they fare?
Luke's a really good contemporary dancer, very tall, striking looking. And Kirsty, well, she's hearing impaired. We don't really discuss this because we don't want people voting for her because of that. We want her to be voted for because of her dancing. But she's done remarkably well.
Whoever does win tonight, what does their future hold?
Well, for a start, they're going to get
a lot of money. And number two, we're going to take them over to Hollywood and they're going to dance on So You Think You Could Dance in the States.
Which is a massive show.
It's a very big show there. In general, the street kids in America are phenomenal. You know, they can't afford to go to dancing lessons. They've learned online, they've watched YouTube, they pass it from one to another, different steps. And they create, they're so exciting because they're constantly creating stuff and doing crazy things like jumping onto the back of their head without hands. And also there's a lot more integrity. You know, when a boy wants to dance in the States and goes to his dad and, Dad, you know, I don't want to play football anymore, I want to become a dancer. Dad actually goes, you sure? It's a really tough world. And it's not like the old days when I was a kid, oh, you're going to have to go to boxing if you're dancing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a quote where you said that you were the original Billy Elliot.
My dad wanted me to go to boxing not to sort of prove if I was, you know, straight or gay. It was more a fact you're going to have to protect yourself. If you want to be a dancer, you know, you're going to be called a sissy, everything else that you were called in those days. But it just so happened all my mates from Liverpool came along with me because the best place to meet girls was in the dancing schools. I mean, people were so dumb. It's the, you know, the greatest area in the world.
How did you keep up with Liverpool now that you're doing all this?
Well, my dad was an Evertonian. I became a Liverpool supporter. I'll watch anything now because I'm so sort of football starved, or soccer starved as we call it over there. That Manchester United Man City game where Wayne Rooney scored the overhead kick was probably one of the greatest goals I've ever seen in my life. And I hate the team. And Wayne Rooney, who came from Everton as well. I mean, wow. But it was just fantastic to watch.
And how delighted were you when King Kenny signed on?
Absolutely delighted, absolutely thrilled. And I think we're going to have a good season next season.
Nigel Lithgow talking about the final this evening. So You Think You Can Dance. I'm just trying to find out what time it's on.
I think it's 7:15, BBC One. I'm going to have to stay up for it.
So yeah, because you're on tomorrow. I shan't be here tomorrow morning because I'll be doing Richard Bacon's show all of this week. Starting Monday through to Thursday. Monday, Christopher Biggins and Nicholas Parsons, as well as John Michie. John Michie used to be in Taggart, just about to take charge of the Rovers returning from
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
That's all on Monday afternoon from 2, and you're right. So You Think You Can Dance, 7:15, BBC One.
Now, of course, heady days for British tennis. 2 men in the Queen's Club semi-finals today for the first time since 1968. We'll talk to our tennis correspondent, Jonathan Overing. Good morning. Hello, Jonathan, can you hear me? Good morning. I know it's early. Hello.
There he is.
Let's start with James Ward, Britain's number 2. But it's fair to say a lot of people won't have heard of him.
No, that's right, 216 in the world. He's 24 years of age. I mean, he's been on the tennis scene for a number of years now, sort of grinding around the futures and challenger tours, playing in obscure venues, but, you know, really trying to make a living of it, but he's scratching around, earning a few dollars here and there. But really, this is the week where it's all happened for him. Semi-finals at ATP level for the first time, back-to-back wins over a couple of world-class players in Wawrinka and Querrey, and then yesterday winning twice in one day, winning his quarter-final against Mannarino from France, getting over the disappointment of losing match points in the second set, keeping his composure in the third. Really impressive stuff from James Ward, and I hope this really gives him the career boost that he's been looking for all these years.
And what chance have you got against Jo-Wilfried Tsonga?
Well, it's going to be a tough match because Tsonga played really well towards the end of his win against Nadal yesterday, turned that match around. He played some unbelievable stuff, Tsonga, including one diving full-stretch volley from nearer the baseline than the net. It was absolutely incredible. Probably the first time I've seen Nadal applaud an opponent in the way he did for making that shot. So just had a taste of Tsonga's potential. But, you know, if Ward can beat Wawrinka and Querrey, then he can beat Tsonga. And he's just got to believe that this run doesn't need to stop here. He might be 216 in the world, but I'm sure his coaches this morning will be saying, look, guy, you can go on and win the title here. I know that seems a bit far-fetched, but he's only 2 matches away from doing it.
And a cracking match in the other semi, Andy Murray against Andy Roddick.
Yes, old rivals. I mean, they go right back to the start of Murray's professional career in 2005. They've got a good rivalry, good matchup of styles as well. Murray quite enjoys the challenge of picking the Roddick serve. Roddick did beat him in the Wimbledon semi-finals a couple of years ago, so I'm sure Murray will be after his revenge. But it was a strange day for Andy yesterday because his match was first of all bumped from centre court as they tried to get all the matches in around the rain, and then it didn't happen at all because his opponent Marin Cilic pulled out with an ankle injury. So even though that seems like a bit of a gift, you know, an easy day, I think Murray would have actually preferred to have played
and got a match. Instead, he went out twice to the practice courts, but I'm sure he'll be on his game today for the challenge of Roddick.
That's certainly what he said in his news conference. He'd much rather have got a game in. Is it too early